Hey, this is your man, Sir-Earl, coming at you again, another podcast. First thing I want to do is I want to give thanks to, I had a couple of countries this month pick up the podcast, which is starting to spread global. It's not the first time we've had other countries kind of tune in, but I want to say a special thanks to Australia, Spain, United Kingdom, and Ireland. They started downloading and listening to the podcast. So I want to say a special thanks to them. I really appreciate it. This whole thing is starting to go global. I would be lying if I said that I didn't think it would. I try to add a lot of quality content into my programs, and I try to talk about more than just personal training, although I am a trainer and I'm very knowledgeable in it. I try to talk about more than that because I'm a human being first. And I find that a lot of issues that we share as common people, not black, not white, not man, not woman, not short, not tall, not skinny, not fat, but we share human issues. And I try to approach those issues. I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, I've been through a lot, and I really think with the knowledge that I've gained and the perspective of what I've learned can help other people achieve their goals. And that's what the whole purpose of this podcast is not just to be able to have my voice heard, it's to be able to help try to educate and help people through situations that they may be going through the knowledge that I may have. So here we go, on with the podcast. The podcast today is titled Inside and Out, okay? The reason that I say that is that I find that so many people, probably 98% of the people, 99% of the people, they look for outside resources to make them happy inside. They believe a man, the right man or the right woman or vacation or kids or any of that is going to bring them happiness. So they look for anything outside the body that they believe will bring them the happiness that they are searching for. One thing that I've learned is happiness starts within, it starts inside. If you're not happy inside, nothing or no one can bring you happiness. No one can fill that void except you. And one of the greatest ways that I found to address that void is to start to be self-disciplined. Start to be able to look in the mirror and tell yourself the truth about who you are and why you're unhappy. Maybe it's because you have self-esteem issues. Maybe it's because you don't like the way your body looks. Maybe it's because you quit on your goals. Maybe it's because you wanted to do some other things in your life. You had other dreams. So the first thing that we must start doing is looking at ourselves and being very, very honest. What is it that we are lacking that makes us unhappy? And when you start to look at that and you start to address those issues, when the first goal is to be honest with yourself, you start to address those issues. When I was coming up, I was an extremely violent person. And when seeing me down, you may not believe that, but I traced that issue one day as I started doing more meditating, more reading, more searching within. I started to look at the issue because I was violent towards everybody, and it does not work. It worked very well growing up, how and where I grew up at, but it doesn't work very well once you get later in life and you're involved in relationships or things like that. You act out of emotions, and some people, a lot of people, they're not going to put up with you putting your hands on them, which was an issue that I had. I only knew how to settle issues with anybody, male or female, through violence, and it just did not work for me anymore. So I had to really sit back and take a look and search and think and go back to where was this coming from? Where did this originate at? And I traced it back to the relationship or the non-relationship that I had with my father. And I remember at 14, 15, my stepdad, my stepmom getting divorced. My dad wasn't there. I was just running the streets, and I was so angry. I had so much anger packed within that it came out in ways of intimidation. Where I grew up at, you were either predator or you were prey. And I decided to be the baddest predator that had ever walked the streets. And the thing about that is, I know a lot of guys that are a lot tougher than me. I don't tend to be the toughest guy alive. I knew how to, survive and defend myself. But a lot of the really, really tough guys, they catch a bullet in the back of the head. It's from where I'm from. That's what happened. So I had to look within, and I realized that anger lingered from non-relationship with my father. So before my father passed, I had to get that issue resolved. And we never looked at each other, and he never said, "I'm sorry," this or that. We just kind of sat there. We watched the football game. He was in the hospital. He was, I knew he did not have much longer to live. I didn't know he would go as soon as he went. But I forgave him. I prayed to God and I forgave him. And that one act changed my life in the sense that I was a better father, I was a better husband, I was a better person, because I just did not have those anger issues anymore. And if you truly honest look at yourself and you look back and you think about it, you'll figure out what causes these, whether it's insecurity, whether it's anger, whether it's overeating, undereating, not having confidence in yourself. No matter what it is, you'll be able to trace it back. And you'll look, maybe it was, you got bullied, maybe, somebody told you were a loser, which I heard my whole life. I would never make anything out of myself. And that was another driving force. That's why I worked so hard. So what I had to do is look back and start to understand where these things came from. And the only way you will ever achieve true happiness, to whereas you can make other people happy and other people can make you happy. It's not their job. I don't care if it's your wife, your girlfriend, your husband. It's not their job to make you happy. It's your job to make you happy. And once you find that happiness, life gets so much better. It's unbelievable, the changes and the 800-pound gorilla that you get off your back when you start to understand that happiness starts within. And because by the same token, if you look for happiness outside, materialistic things, cars, houses, other people, that's why a lot of women are promiscuous, that's why a lot of men are dogs. They're constantly searching for that. And it's within all along. There's a saying that in every oak tree seed, there's an oak tree. Everything that you need to be who you want to be in life is already within you. A lot of us don't want to look at that and be truthful with ourselves and start to look at things that, okay, this is what caused this. Let me change that thought pattern, because there's some things that happen to us as kids that affect how we are as adults. And once you begin to realize that, then you could begin to change that. You could begin to change that pattern. And if you look for nothing outside to make you happy, then you learn to not blame outside things. I hear so many people making excuses of things of why they can't do this, why they can't do that. Taxes are too high. The government is crazy. Illinois is this. My wife is tripping. My husband is tripping. When my kids get older and they get out. So just as we look for outside sources, just as many people look for outside sources to validate, to love, we also use those same sources to blame, because we're holding them responsible for what we should be doing ourselves. And once, like for me, everything that I do, it's my fault. I blame me. I am the leader of me. Just so happens I have a lot of people that work for me, but I blame, if they make a mistake, it's on me. If things don't go right in life, it's on me. If, something happens, it's on me. So what you start to do when you do that is you start to depend on your abilities to handle situations, and you'd be amazed at how great you can make your life when you handle situations the right way and stop blaming others for things that you should be looking at far as yourself. No one has control. That's why for years I've never paid any attention to what people think about me, and I don't know. I get less than shit what somebody thinks about me. I make my decisions. I live with those decisions, good or bad, and I am responsible for those decisions. And that, if I left it to, we seek out, when we seek outside people for love, we also seek outside people for validation. So when you come up with an idea, like, I was a mechanic and I came up with the idea, hey, I want to be a personal trainer. I love the industry. I've been in it for a while. Um, and everybody, especially family and friends, those that are closest to you, that will never work. You will never be a business owner. No one will pay for personal training. Stay where you are. Keep your job. And that's the advice that we get. And we get that advice because we allow people to give their opinion on what should not ever need their opinion. If you in your heart believe that you can achieve something and you're willing to put the work in and you've done your research and you take a calculated risk, and it is a risk, calculated or not, it's a risk. You are responsible for you. You are responsible for your dreams. You are responsible for your happiness. No one else is. And if you ever start to think they are, then you're going to be in for a very, very rude awakening. So I don't look for anybody, as much as my fiance loves me and as much as I love my fiance. I don't look for her for happiness. I look to me for happiness. So when I'm working out, I'm happy. That's my inner therapy. When I'm at work, I'm happy. I get people all the time say, hey, you need to take a vacation. You need to relax. Well, maybe you need to relax. I'm okay. I love my life. I designed my life exactly the way I wanted my life to be. So therefore, I don't need a vacation from the things that I designed for myself. You need vacations when you're tired of the things that are in your life that you feel you have no control over. So you need to get away from those things and just be to yourself. Well, if I designed everything in my life the way that I wanted, why would I need to get away from it? It's what I wanted. So, we have to start looking within. We have to meditate. We have to look in the mirror. We have to start being honest with ourselves, and we have to start finding solutions for what we're lacking in our lives. And the thing about it is that the great thing about it, it's an ongoing process. It never stops. I became a much, much better person than I was growing up. If people saw me now, they wouldn't believe what I've done. If people that know me now saw me then, they would not be able to believe that I was that kind of person. So nothing changes you but you. Nothing will ever make a change in you but you. No amount of education, no amount of workshops, no amount of seminars, nothing will change you because you're the only one that know you. You can look in people's face and tell them you're as happy as you want to be, but when you look in that mirror, them eyes looking back at you, they will always be honest with you, and you will know inside that, hey, I'm putting up this front that I'm happy and everything is great, where inside I'm miserable. Well, start tackling that miserable. Start looking within and start correcting those things that make you feel the way that you feel. And you will start to notice, Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way that you look at things, the things you look at change. I used to look at life as so unfair, and why me, and why did I have to grow up in Inglewood, and why this and why that. But all of those things made me. It happened for me, not to me. And all the things that I looked at as negative became positives when I changed the way I looked at things. When I became inside happy, the outside resources of people and things and situations and circumstances, I see the positive in all of it, and I see why those things are in my life. So let's start to look within. Let's start to correct some things that we need to correct. Let's start being honest with ourselves. Let's start achieving our dreams. And I guarantee you, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. Until next week, this is your man, Sir-Earl, and I'm signing out. And this goes to Patrick. Peace.